been said today, where is bravery? I'll tell you where bravery is found and courage is found. It's found in this minority who has lived through the last year of nothing but rules being broken, people being put down, questions not being answered, and this majority say, be damned with anything else. We're going to impeach and do whatever we want to do. Why? Because we won an election. I guarantee you, one day you'll be back in the minority and it ain't going to be that fun. My majority made a promise. We'll impeach him. We'll investigate him. For most of them, it happened in November 2016 because they couldn't believe that Donald Trump won. And they still can't get over it today.
I'm telling you right now, I'm very excited about the crowd that came here today. But let me tell you, I went to this little event in Macon on Friday. And let me tell you what. We were at that little event, and somebody was listening to the radio, and one of the local stations said there was 1,000 people there. There were 5,000 or 6,000 cars there. What happened? Did automatic cars drive there and just park with nobody in them? No, there were 12,000, 15,000 people there supporting our president. And you know what? Our president is going to get elected. Our president is my favorite person on the ballot. But I do have a close second favorite person on the ballot. That person, I knew who this person was before those fake impeachment hearings. But you know what? When those hearings went on, and what Doug Collins did for America, and what he did for the President of the United States during those hearings was just phenomenal. Doug Collins protected our president. Doug Collins exposed all that sham that was going on in those hearings. Doug Collins is a pit bull that we need representing us in the United States Senate. It's time to be real, people. It's time to get down. It's time to vote. If you haven't voted yet, you need to go out and vote. And when you do vote, make sure you vote for my two favorite candidates, Donald J. Trump and our next speaker and our next senator, Representative Doug Collins.
Let's give it up!
All right, everybody, how we doing today? All right. I mean, can you think of a better time to be here? The sun is shining. We're about 16 days away from doing something that the liberal media is going to just have a time because it's going to be tears in the basement in Delaware because we're going to get to have 4 more years of Donald Trump. 4 more years. Hey, Ms. Cruz, can you imagine our 4th District nominee, Judge Cruz? I mean, come on. She knows what it's like for socialism. She's been here and she's up here, man. You know, when you look at that, that's what we're fighting against. We're fighting against a bunch of folks who don't believe in doing exactly what we want to do right here. These are folks like, could you imagine the other day when Joe Biden said, well, I want to shut everything down again? I got an idea. Why don't we just shut Joe Biden down and send him back to Delaware? And I think that'll work very well. I tell you, we're right now in the fight of our life. Right now we're looking at it because every election is important. Every election is important. And you don't believe it. You can look back at the first few years I was in Congress. When I went to Congress, you know, and then President Trump got elected, there was a new breeze blowing through Washington, D.C. We actually had a president who actually did what he said he was going to do. I remember the first few weeks up there, after about a month or 2 in, I kept having press people come over to me. And the press would come over, and Bubba, they would do this. They'd whisper to me, and they'd say, can you believe that he's doing all these things? And I would look back at him and I'd say, what do you mean believe he's doing these things? He said, well, he said he started doing all these things. He started trying to secure the border and he's done all these other. I said, did you listen to anything the man said when he was running for office? And they said, yes. I said, well, here's the shock for you. He's actually doing it. And they couldn't believe it. But you know, the reason I talk about elections and have consequences is that 2016 election was a great time. But I'm going to tell you right now, on that night in Brooklyn, there was those tears, those liberal tears for Hillary Clinton. But they began plotting at that very moment. They knew that they were going to try on November 3rd, 2020, they were going to say this was a mistake. You see, the deep state had already tried to stop Donald Trump. We now know from the stuff that we have let go and the emails and stuff that are getting declassified by my friend John Ratcliffe that it wasn't Donald Trump in collusion with Russia, it was Hillary Clinton who was in collusion. And she needs to be held accountable for it, by the way. Ain't nobody above the law. And when we understand that, then now think about this, he fought through it that time, and he won. And he's going to fight through it again this time, and win. Why? Because the American people know a winner, they know a leader, and they know somebody who has their back, and that's Donald Trump. But in 2018, when that election came along, all of us were hoping we were going to, continue in the House, have a Republican House. We're going to keep the Republican Senate. We're going to have President Trump for the last 2 years going into this election. And then I think, frankly, some of us, and that's why I'm here today and why I do a lot of these rallies, I want you to know that just no vote can be taken for granted. There were almost 230,000 Republicans, conservatives in Georgia, did not vote in 2018. Now let that sink in a minute. What did that mean? It meant that we lost the 6th district. From Karen Handel went to Lucy McBath, someone who simply comes up and rubber stamps Nancy Pelosi's agenda, who wants to defund the police and move us away from a civil society. That's what it cost us in the 6th. But you know what it could cost us this time if we stay home? It could cost Donald Trump 4 more years. And we cannot let that happen. You've got to show up and you got to vote. Because when we lost the House, now notice what happened. When we lost the House, Nancy Pelosi became Speaker of the House. How many like that one? I think the only thing Nancy Pelosi needs is a one-way ticket back to San Francisco and never to come back to Washington, D.C. again. And look, I'll give her an engraved gavel saying you were Speaker once, but never again. How about that one? She can take it back. But then we also got that election caused Adam Schiff, yes, to become the Intelligence. Now that's just a contradiction in terms right there. Adam Schiff and Intelligence Committee right there. But the thing for me was I was looking to take over on the Judiciary Committee to help the President with the First Step Act and criminal justice reform and helping out Americans. And instead of becoming the chairman, I had to become the ranking member to a guy named Jerry Nadler. Yeah. You talk about a change, but you know something? When I heard what Jerry was going to do, when I heard he wanted to attack this president, when I heard he wanted to just simply have a sham impeachment, investigation after investigation, I said I can mope around and I can just watch it happen, or I made myself a commitment. I said, as ranking member of this committee, I'm going to stand up right now, and every day that Jerry Nadler wakes up, he better be looking over his shoulder because it's going to be a bad day because I'm going to be right on his heels. And we've done that. We made our promise and we kept it to this president that we were going to fight for him just as hard as he is fighting for us. So as we go along, look at what's happened. The media right now, what we've been able to uncover, that they spied not only on the candidate president, but then tried to get into the first week's administration. They get after General Flynn, tried to set him up. This is what we're fighting against, folks, because let me tell you something. If they can do it to Donald Trump as a candidate, they can do it to Donald Trump as president, they can do it to General Flynn, what chance do you and I have against them? So you know something? We mentioned social media a few minutes ago. I am proud to stand before you as a regularly censored band member of Twitter right here. And banned because they have gotten a little too big for their, how many of you ever heard your old mama and grandmama say, you gotten a little too big for your britches? Well, I got a little solution for our big tech friends. It's called antitrust. You're getting a little bit big. We're going to look to break you up and make sure your size. And in Section 230, you're not going to be able to hide behind anything and attack conservatives anymore because we're going to take that away. When we understand what we can actually do, you don't use the rules to only apply it the way you want to apply it. Facebook, Twitter, I'm going to say something, @Jack, censor me, keep censoring me, but these people out here, you know what we're fighting, and y'all are going to stand with me as we keep fighting against everybody who wants to take the things that we love away. So that's why we're running for Senate. That's why we want to continue to fight, not only as we have in the House, but we're going to continue to fight in the United States Senate, because I'm tired of watching folks just sit back and let things happen. I'm tired of sitting back and not being able to step forward and say, well, let's just wait our turn. No, I'm tired of waiting our turn as conservatives. I'm tired of liberals telling me that they want bigger government. I'm tired of liberals telling me they have the solution. It's conservatives that have the right answers. How many of you believe that here today? So I got a question for you. I'm talking to a bunch of conservatives at a Trump rally, but you know something? So many times I see this. We let the media come around and we let the folks start telling us about polls. How many of you have been polled by one of these people? Haven't been having many at all. They don't know where they're going. But here's what I want. I see so many conservatives. I see sometimes some of our own candidates doing this. Bubba, you've seen this. They mope around. I'm a conservative. I'm happy. Look at our economic growth. Guys, come on. We're the party that actually believes in people and not government. We're the ones that can go into any neighborhood and say, we believe in you because God's gifted you. It's time we get on our feet and say, we're the party that actually matters in this country because we want to see everybody working, everybody moving, and doing what God can call them to do. And when we look at a Senate race, and the Senate race I'm running right now is pretty simple. You got somebody who thought they were conservative and had $35 million to spend to try and tell you. And then you have a conservative who's been there, who's tested, who's proven, who's trusted, who stood with Donald Trump in everything he's done and pushed forward legislation. And I need you to stand with me right now. When we understand what's at stake, I don't believe that Georgia's for sale. And Georgia ain't for sale when you actually try to tell lies about people. And you know something? I just determined in my life, if you're going to tell, and you can ask this, they're trying to say that Doug Collins is not a conservative. Senator Loeffler wants you to think I'm not a conservative. Well, I got a resume for you. You know, everybody has a resume and they have references on it. I'm going to give you my references for conservatism. You just go ask Nancy Pelosi, Adam Schiff, and Jerry Nadler. They'll tell you real quickly who the conservative is in this race. Because I don't have to wonder what I believe. You don't have to wonder about me and pro-life. You see my daughter around here. My daughter will tell you, she's right over there. You've seen the commercials. You know life for us is precious. I would never work with Planned Parenthood to give them like Senator Loeffler did. Would never work with Michael Bloomberg on gun control. How many of you like your guns around here today? There we go. As you see my belt buckle. I'm a trooper's kid from Gainesville, Georgia, folks. A trooper's kid who come up who understood that you had hard work and working hard and caring for people and doing public service. But as a public servant, as a kid of a trooper, you know, the question I have is, why would you attack me on gun control? I learned to shoot before I could actually ride a tricycle. Come on now. Gun control for me is hitting what you shoot at, okay? But what Kelly don't want you to know is she just don't want you to know she worked with Michael Bloomberg to take your gun rights away. That's why you spend so much money. And when you understand where we're at right now, when you understand where this country is, you don't need someone who doesn't know what they believe. And I'm going to tell you right now, as we look forward in this race, I believe in every one of these folks riding by in these cars. I believe in you sitting here. I believe in a country where the flag still means something. And for someone who's served in the Air Force for over 19 years, who served in Iraq, I tell you there'll be one thing that'll never happen. You'll never see me disrespect this flag or dishonor this flag, because under that flag there have been men and women who've died to do exactly what we're doing right here today. And that is worth standing for and never kneeling for right here. That's what we got to be about. So if we can't get fired up about that, I don't know what we can get fired up about. If we can't get that, our blood boiling, because when you look around the country, and there's one last thing that just sort of gets under the craw of this old Georgia State Troopers kid. I listened to Joe Biden, who can condemn everything else in the world but Antifa and those who want to defund our police. He can trigger everything else, and he doesn't have anything to say about them wonderful, peaceful protesters. This is a peaceful protest right here, okay? I've never understood. I had a reporter ask me one day, they said, well, why aren't you supportive of these peaceful protests? I said, I'm all in support of peaceful protests. I'm all in support of somebody taking a sign and going up and waving, marching in the streets, blowing whistles. But I'm going to tell you what you don't bring to a peaceful protest. This is pretty easy. You don't bring Molotov cocktails to a peaceful protest. You don't bring bricks to a peaceful protest. You don't bring fireworks, and you don't bring lasers to point in officers' eyes. That is simply criminal activity, and it needs to be shut down. And if the states won't do it, Donald Trump will do it, and that's what we need to have happen. I will always fight for you, because I learned it from a dad as a state trooper. And for officers here and those that are protecting us, let me just say one thing. I took on a corrupt Fulton County DA who Paul Howard decided he wanted to charge officers before an investigation was done and before a grand jury was done. And I said, Paul Howard, the only thing that needs to be investigating is you, and you need to get out. Thank goodness the good people of Fulton County put him out. And Mayor Bottoms, when you turn your blind eye to part of the city that was being held hostage by folks who were in criminal activities, and it took a young lady to be killed before you ever thought about it, I'm going to just say one thing to all these folks across the country, these liberal mayors, liberal governors, who seem to think it is okay to attack our men and women right now in law enforcement. Here's what I got a suggestion for you. You get on uniform, you put a gun on, you get in a car, and you go patrol for a few months. And then if you think it's okay to defund the police, fine. Other than that, it's time for you to sit down, shut up, and get behind these good people who actually keep us safe. And that's what we need to do in this country. So, I don't know what the rest of your Sunday is like. I still got a lot of energy for a lot more times, and I'm going to have to get out of here in just a minute. But I need your help on this Senate race. I need you to stand with me. I need you to tell your friends. Some of you already told me you voted. Go find 5 other people that need voting. Tell them to vote for Donald Trump. We need to re-elect David Perdue, because we've got to make sure the Senate stays red. We need to put Bubba McDonald back on that public service committee. I want a conservative on the public service committee. We need to elect Ms. Cruz and others to our seats. I don't know about you. Hank Johnson, really? I'm sorry. Yeah, but believe me, we're okay. If Hank leaves, this rock yard will not flip over, okay? We're fine. But when we look forward here, I need you to go out and find people to vote because we need to make sure that Georgia does not have to turn around. I want to wake up on November 4th and probably what's going to happen in our race. There's a lot of them in that special election. I'm number 3 on the ballot if you haven't already went to vote. And there's going to be a runoff. And we're going to then make sure that this seat is held red on January 5th because we don't want it to take anywhere else. Because I'm asking you right now, the Senate needs folks who are willing to stand unabashedly for what is conservative, what means it in this country, and be able to share those values without having to think about it, worry about it, or wonder about it. No cue cards needed here. I need your help. God bless you. Thank you so much. See y'all on November 3rd.
Oh, my God. Are y'all fired up on that? Are you fired up? That right there, if that didn't, when he said fired up, I said, God, I can't even follow that and say fired up. One more time, a round of applause for that. I'm kind of speechless. Check this guy out. Listen, you're not going to get any more real than that, right? I mean, come on. Everybody make sure you vote Collins. Do not mess up and go a different direction.